If you want to feel like you just crushed the day, then you've got to stop putting out everybody else's fires. When you wake up in the morning, if the first thing you do is check your email, you are pulled in a million directions. This person needs this. You need to bring muffins for soccer practice. You need to do this and that. And all of a sudden, your whole day has been hijacked. I'm Jen Todd with Shift Collective. I'm a transformation coach and the founder of this awesome organization that supports women in business and helps you turn your biggest trials into your biggest triumphs. And I'm here today to talk about our favorite subject and the hardest thing as women to manage, which is time. So it depends on your currency. A lot of us, our currency is money. My currency is 1000% time. And I've always been a little bit obsessed about how I manage my time. Like, I can remember from the time I was very young, I really focused on managing my time well. So I had time to do the things I really wanted to do, which were hang out with friends and sports. And as we get older, those things actually get put on the back burner because our time is taken up with so many other things. So let's make sure you're using your currency, if that's time too, your most important currency, to the best of your ability and using it purposefully, intentionally, and not just getting it zapped. And at the end of the day, you go, well, I responded to 30 emails, I started working on a blog post, and I did all this other running around and stuff for other people, and I don't really have anything to show for it. And then you wake up the next morning feeling frazzled, like you've got double the amount of things to do. So that's what I'm here today to talk about. This is gonna be a really impactful chat. I hope you will join the discussion later because, ladies, we need to work together on this one. So February, I find, is the month where most people's New Year's resolutions or goals start to fall off the tracks. We start to go sideways because we get in a state of overwhelm. We haven't planned, we haven't established habits to support the awesome goals we come up with at the start of the year. So rather than, digging in, we just pull back. We decide that's way too much. I can't do all of that on my own. And you know what? You are 1000% right. You can't do it all on your own. So we decide not to do it. We decide maybe later. I'll push it off to next year. And we take the path of least resistance because we're human, and we start working on our businesses or on our families or on our tasks rather than in them. There's a big difference between working on something and working in something. On something translates into a whole bunch of busy work, doing all the things but really having nothing to show for it. Like, my famous example is always organizing your office instead of getting on the phone and making those calls you need to make to push your business to the next level, to move the needle. So on versus in, we get into a mode of consuming more than creating. So by consuming, I mean consuming social media, consuming email, consuming texts, TV, Netflix, even consuming, and I'm so guilty of this, even though I'm an efficiency stickler, consuming more audiobooks and more podcasts and more training, but not really actually putting that into action mode. So I'm constantly in consuming mode because it's a path of least resistance. It doesn't require me to step out. It doesn't require vulnerability. It just requires me to be passive. So I want us to think of how can I be more active in my own goals and my own dreams. We're not in passive mode anymore, ladies. And I hate to tell you, but the biggest problem we have with time management is actually the thing that we think is helping us the most, and that is multitasking. So guilty. I've been telling myself and other people, I'm embarrassed to say, for years that I am more efficient when I multitask, that I'm more productive. Such a false belief that I have about myself, because multitasking actually doesn't allow us to focus on anything at full capacity. And I have some crazy stats, because if you're like me, you need a little bit of proof to make that transition away from a habit that you have been using forever to survive. So here they are. Multitasking actually increases errors by up to 50%. That's quite a bit. It reduces productivity by 40%, and it takes 50% longer to do that same task. So not only are we making more mistakes, we're taking longer to do it, but we feel in our heads because we're working on things, we're, rather than in things, we're out of creative mode, we think we're getting more done, but we're actually not, and science proves it. Here's the craziest one, that heavy multitasking actually lowers our IQ by up to 15 points, which is 3 times the effect of smoking marijuana. Seriously, would you ever think? Can you believe this? So we need to get more efficient, and we need to find a better way. And whether you're in business or managing a family, the bigger you grow, the more responsibility you have, the more you need a system in place. I have found this out the last year, ladies. I started out with no systems, no frameworks, flying by the seat of my pants, multitasking my little buns off like I have always done. And as my business grew and scaled quickly, I really had to get systems in place and an infrastructure and the right people in place to support me, or I could not have done this. So enter batch working, my new favorite concept. This is a concept that, had you asked me about 8 months ago, I would have had no idea what you meant by batch working. Let me paint a little picture for you. Wouldn't you rather wake up in the morning and know exactly what you've got to do? Know that you've got 1 or 2 things that you get to focus on and crush that day. And then if you want to, you can go and watch your Netflix at night because you know that you've got an immense amount of work done that day. Or would you rather get up and feel all frazzled because just like the day before, you didn't get everything done on your to-do list because it's a mile freaking long and you can't, and have no focus. So then you just start scrambling and you get so overwhelmed that you bail. That's what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna choose option 1 every time now. And because it's a new habit, don't expect it to come easily at the start. It's not going to. It takes a little bit of time to establish this new habit. But I promise you, the proof is in the pudding. Once you realize how much further you're getting ahead, how much your business is thriving, how much happier your family is, you're going to stick with it. There's no willpower required, okay? The needle's gonna move, you're gonna wanna do that, because actually this batch working is gonna become your survival line. It's gonna become the path of least resistance. Are you ready to dig in? Here we go. So batch working, in case you haven't heard of it, like I hadn't, is basically taking one routine thing that we do all of the time, every day, in and out, and doing, say, a week's worth, 2 weeks worth, or even a month's worth of that same activity all at once. So I have listed a bunch of things that I used to multitask that I have started batch working. And actually, some of them I've always been batch working and just didn't have a term for it. But I've had people my whole life say, how are you doing this much in one day? How do you do it and get it all accomplished and keep your sanity? Number 1, I do not keep my sanity all the time, especially when I multitask. And number 2, I have always been really good at batch working, so I just didn't know that. I've learned to implement it though into other areas of my life and bring way more clarity, productivity, inspiration, enthusiasm, all the things, and joy. Are you ready? So I batch work food prep. I've always done this. When I grocery shop, which some of my solutions are multifaceted, I commit to grocery shopping only 1 time per week. And if I can get away with it, I am going through the online grocery process where I'm ordering online. It saves me time and money. All of my items are saved in there. I've had to get over myself and my obsession with choosing my own produce, and I put copious notes in the notes section so they know exactly what I'm looking for. I would say of the, 40 times I've done online shopping, I have had 3 returns where I've said, you know what, this product wasn't really good. And what do? They refund me and they give me a new one next time. It's awesome. So you're going to the grocery store once per week, which is going to require a little bit of meal planning. Now, if you're like me and you're not hardcore meal planner, have an idea, okay? Or have your family pitch in and go, hey, we really want this for dinner. If you're like me, also, you don't like picking what to have for dinner, but you don't mind making it. So have people have some input. It takes the stress down. I am always looking for ways to save time and manage my stress, because it can just get up there so fast when I feel overwhelmed. So food prep. I get everything home and I chop all the veggies, because chances are if they go in the fridge and I don't chop them, we resort to the path of least resistance, something less healthy throughout the week. Another way to batch work food is you can prep, if you have children or a spouse who you help with their lunches, you can prep a whole bunch of lunches ahead of time. You totally can do this and keep them in little containers in your fridge, and then in the mornings, you're just ready to go. I actually sit down, eat a breakfast, and enjoy a coffee every single morning, and my lunches are already done like the night before. I just pop in the fresh produce and we're good to go. You can batch work freezer meals. So that's self-explanatory. You could do that a month ahead of time. Have an awesome crock pot or an Instapot and save yourself tons of time and still eat pretty healthy. And the other thing I do with food is I batch work smoothie prep. So instead of getting out all the ingredients in the morning, each morning I have a little Ziploc baggie in the freezer. Yes, you can get reusable ones if you are environmentally conscientious like we are at our house. And you put the protein powder and the chia seeds and the hemp and all the fruit and all the things that you would put in your smoothie. And it's all ready. You just pour it in the blender and add your liquid in the morning. Couldn't be easier. You can even put the peanut butter in there and freeze it. Like, it's awesome. So please do that. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Muffins. If you've known me for a long time, you know that I am the equivalent of the muffin man, only I'm a lady. So I recommend never making one batch of muffins at a time. You always make like 3 or 4 batches of muffins at one time. That way you're not getting things out, putting them away 4 times. You're only doing it one time, and you're saving on electricity. If you're already going to turn the oven on, you might as well make 4 batches. Again, get the family involved. Put them in the freezer, and then you pull them out for lunches, or you pull them out for snacks, and you can sneak a lot of healthy things in muffins. I do it all the time. Okay, what else in terms of family? I batch work appointments. So if it's dentist day or optometrist day, or we need checkups, I try and get my kids and I all on the same day. So I'm not making 3 separate trips. That's pretty self-explanatory. I batch work date night, okay? Start of the year, I open my planner and I make sure that we get things in there. Family getaways, we try and do something individually with each of our kids throughout the year. And if we don't plan it, we just don't do it. We don't get to it because sports and extracurriculars and everything, putting out fires takes time away. But if we've got it in there, it's in there. And then you're going through, you know what to expect. I might not always know what I'm doing the next day, but I know that in March there is a date night on this Thursday, and I already know. So I love that, and it makes it happen. Laundry, okay, my nemesis. But I found a way to make it more enjoyable and more productive and efficient, which I love. So batch work laundry. Instead of always having a load going, at our house, we could do 3 loads per day. I have no idea why. I think it's because we have children we don't know about here. But do them all in one day. And then I pour them all on the bed, all the baskets of laundry. I fold them all at once. I put them in individual piles in, all of one of my daughter's shirts, all of my son's jeans, everything, and then they put them in the drawers because that's my least favorite part, honestly. But it's efficient. They're only doing this once, and I'm only doing it once. And I'm usually taking in a great podcast or audiobook while I'm folding, so it takes it from a chore that I really dislike doing to a chore that I don't mind so much because I get engaged in what I'm doing. And although I'm not the most organized person in the world, I kind of like it when I get to organize the laundry like that. Helps me take inventory also. Okay, in terms of business, this is where batch working has really saved me also. So I batch work my social media pretty much all the time. So for me, my big platforms, I use are Facebook, Instagram, and now YouTube. Those are my biggest 3, and LinkedIn that I have somebody helping me with. So there are all kinds of great scheduling apps that you can find in the App Store. If you have an Apple product, if you have another kind, I'm sure your equivalent of the App Store has these. You can do Hootsuite, Loomly, you can do Buffer, Meet Edgar. All of these things allow you to schedule, and they all have different fortes and different on different social media platforms. I'm so excited, I can't even talk. So if you're someone that likes to, you hang out on Instagram, there's one that's best for that. If you like to do some social media, like use Pinterest, because it's a great social media tool, even though we don't look at it like that, there's another one for that. Some of them cover all of the platforms and do a pretty good job. So think about doing that. The only drawback with that is that sometimes with Facebook, if you have scheduled posts, they don't get quite the reach that they would get if you post them in real time. So just be aware. What we do is a combination of both. I am posting things on the fly, whether I have something like new that I'm launching or just a really profound thought or something's going on, I post it in real time. Other things, I batch work all my graphic design, and I am not a graphic designer, but I use Canva all the time right now until I have somebody that I can have on staff to do that for me. I batch work all that stuff out. I batch work photos. I'm constantly taking photos going, I could use that at some point. So I'm in no rush to get them out onto social, but I know that I've got a whole tickle trunk, thank you Mr. Dress Up, full of content that I can use. So batch work out your graphics, batch work out your promos, batch work out, even if you post quotes, you can batch work that. You can batch work anything. Next one for me, I batch work videos. So today, I'm not gonna shoot one video, I'm gonna shoot 5. It requires a lot of talking and a lot of water because you get super dry talking that much, but I'm only getting my equipment out once. If you are a gal who doesn't like wearing makeup, but you feel better wearing makeup in your videos, you only have to do it one time, not 5. The rest of the time you can sit around in your Lululemons and just chill without your makeup on and not shoot videos. You can write content for videos. Another batch working strategy, sit down one day, I've already wrote out the content that I want to cover in my next 5 videos. So can you see how much time that would save me as a business owner compared to getting the stuff out 5 times, getting the makeup done 5 times, doing my hair, which is a wild, like lioness mess usually, 5 times, which brings me to another batch working. I batch work my hair by getting a blowout every week. I feel better about myself and I don't have to touch it. Like I'm talking touch it for like 6 or 7 days. It might be a little dirty, don't come too close, but it always looks presentable, okay? So that saves me probably 20 minutes every single morning by just getting my hair blown out, and it takes me less than an hour, 1 time a week. Hello, I love it and I love my stylist, mad love. Save my sanity. What else have I got here? Copywriting. So if you write copy for anything, whether it is social media posts, whether it's a blog or your website or automated emails, depending on what kind of business you do and at what stage you are in your business, I think everybody should have an email list with automated emails, but we can talk about that in a future video. I batch work that. So I'm gonna write out a bunch of copy just like I do for my videos in one sitting. And then what I do, taking it a step further, is I mine different parts out, say of a blog post, and I use one snippet on Instagram. I use another part from that copy on a Facebook post. I use another part in an email that I send out. And another part in a video. Like you can just keep on going. You don't have to overcreate. People think they have to be geniuses and come up with so much new stuff all the time. I'm here to tell you, none of us are coming up with new stuff at this point. It's all been said. It's that we have our own way of sharing it that's gonna hit home with different people. Oh, that's it. If you have a new strategy, obviously share it and help the masses, but if you don't, that's okay. You can write something and then batch work it out and separate it. That's the way to go. Batch working increases not only my productivity and my efficiency, but it keeps my energy high. It keeps my focus, and I am drawn to a sparkly object like nobody's business. If I can do it, sister, you can do it, okay? It keeps me inspired, and I have to be inspired to keep doing what I'm doing. If you are in direct sales and you stop working your business and you lose that inspiration for your product and for what it does for people, the problem it solves, your productivity is going to go a lot lower. It's going to tank because you're not engaged, you're not inspired. So it's our personal responsibility to keep inspired. It's also our personal responsibility to keep inspired for our families. When your kids get home from school, if you are in a low mood, guess what your night's going to be like? Someone once told me that mom sets the mood, and she could not have hit the nail on the head more accurately. It's so true. So you've got to keep yourself in that space. Do whatever it takes. Usually I have to move my body, which is not my favorite, but I batch work out my scheduling. So I schedule in times that if I'm having shooting 5 videos in one day, writing copy for 5 posts in one day, I actually schedule in when I'm going to get up and move my body. It comes up as an alarm on my phone, so it is happening. Sometimes I'm ridiculous and here we go. I batch work vacuuming as part of moving my body. Like, I'm running around the house, I put the tunes up, I re-energize myself, and then I get back to writing. That's just how I do it. That's how I've always done it. Is that multitasking? Yes, but it's a scheduled break. So it's not like in the middle of writing copy, I check Facebook. That is distracting. Okay, my phone is on airplane mode when I'm in the middle of something now because my temptation is too great. It's too great. I will check Facebook. I will check to see if I have a new email. And what that leads to is me putting out someone else's fire, just like if I do it in the morning. Instead of getting ahead on the project that I need to get ahead on so I can serve people how they need to be served and love people how they need to be loved. That is my biggest number one. I will not go back and forth anymore. So there's this incredibly different energy when you wake up in the morning and you know exactly what you have to do than the energy of waking up into chaos, not having a plan for your day. And like I said at the start, you just need to make a plan and stick to it. It's not going to require willpower once you establish the habit and see the results. It's just like if you change the way you eat and you start to lose the weight, it's way easier to keep doing it once you see some results happen. It's way more tempting to fall off the wagon or get off track when you start to self-sabotage. And then you decide, well, I'm not all in now, so I'm just going to cheat here. Same thing. Just make it a habit, make a commitment to yourself, and once you get going, you will never go back. It's so much less stressful. So a couple of things that I recommend doing before you officially start your batch working journey is 4 little steps. 1, carve out time to review your schedule, to review what you do in a day. Because I bet you there are things that you don't even realize are zapping your time. So carve out 30 minutes and look at your schedule and start to list all the things. Number 2, start to group things together. So instead of heading to the grocery store here and here, all of a sudden that's one thing. Instead of making lunches every single day, you just did it all on Sunday or Monday. You get the picture. Number 3, outsource. So you have planned, you have made time to do the planning. So yes, I plan for when I'm going to plan. It sounds excessive, but it is the biggest time saver ever. There's nothing left to sort out. There's no stress. I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm going to accomplish by the end of the day. And then you're going to group them together. Number 3, you're going to outsource. So that might mean that you empower your children to take on some tasks. Ladies, it is okay to get your kids to do some work around the house. No, you're not a mean mom. You are equipping them with skills. You are letting them know what a functional member of a family looks like. It's okay if your 9-year-old takes out all the recycling in a snowstorm. They'll survive. It's hard though, because we think, I should do it all. I should just take everything on my shoulders and make sure everybody else is just, cozy and comfy. And although that's lovely, it's not real life and it's not helping or empowering your kids for their future. I remember moving into my dorm in university, and there were kids in there at that point who had never taken out the garbage. They're like, what do I do? And like, do I need to separate it? And do I need a special bag? It was like, what? Crazy. Couldn't do their own laundry. I can't even, okay? Grammar disaster, but I can't even imagine my kids not being self-sufficient. So it's okay to outsource some of that. You do not have to do it all. It's also great if you can pay people to do things that you don't need to do. If you're at that point, you get a house cleaner. You get someone to help you prep food or do your groceries or run errands or write copy for you. Do your social media posts, your graphic design. I can keep going. I have a list of things that I will empower other people to do now that I've learned that it's so worth it. If you're not at that point, you have friends already, and if you don't, you can make new friends that you can trade with. You have an awesome skill set, they have an awesome skill set. Why not propose a trade? I think it's the best thing since sliced bread, and I do it all the time. So find a way to group those things, to batch work them and outsource whatever you can, and all of a sudden, you can schedule yourself a day off. Holy smokes, it's amazing. And you don't have to feel guilty about it because you are crushing it. You're gonna feel so much better every single day. I have more to do with time management that I do wanna share with you, but this episode is all about how I batch work, all about how I've come along this journey from thinking I needed to multitask everything. And I have got out of my own way. I have trusted someone who has gone before me because I didn't invent batch working. I have just trusted somebody else's approach and seen that, hey, that really works for them. I'm gonna try that. So trust the journey. And then I just did it. I just stepped in. Half the time, we are stuck because we don't take time to step back and actually self-evaluate. Evaluate what processes are working in our lives. We get stuck on busy. So I encourage you, take a second, take a step back, look at your schedule, talk to the people around you, your closest friends, your family, your coworkers, your employees. Be courageous enough to ask them where they think you could level up. It might be hard, but it's gonna serve you in such a big way. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. I hope that this has served you in a big way. I hope that you're gonna dive in. And if this has, will you share this? Will you post this as an Instagram story? Will you spread the love? Because our goal at Shift is to truly affect the most, on the most profound level, the most number of people that we can, so that our lives become easier, more joy-filled, and less stressful. Have an awesome day.